So not only are you have no idea whether you're actually getting a boost in testosterone, you may also be looking at side effects, toxicity, and all sorts of issues for a trade-off that you don't really know that exists.
Folks, how are you? I am Dr. Mike for RP Strength, and I have two amazing, stellar, young, supple, nubile, researchers with me today. Dr. Pak and Dr. Milo, or Dr. Milo and Dr. Pak, known as the Wolf Pack when they are together. And they do gang signs because they're from Europe and that's where gangs come from. But there's another thing that comes from Europe. It's not gang related. It is a series of supplements you may be able to take that increase your testosterone. Do those things really come from Europe? Fuck if I know. No, probably not.
Most of them, if not all of them, not, right?
What comes from Europe? Cigarettes, red wine, and the general civilization.
And America.
Olive oil.
America, and a general blasé attitude about what is this life anyway? Yeah.
I think that's a mischaracterization. I don't like, maybe the French are like that.
Definitely the French.
He speaks French, so I can say it.
You talk that shit.
Je parle français.
And do you feel more like every time you speak French?
I feel
like,
superior.
What is the meaning of this anyway? Yeah. Both superior and totally kind of like tuned out of life. Just light me another cigarette. I'll read some more poetry noir.
Die in a motorcycle accident. That is the French way. Albert Camus, you know?
Yeah. Or as they say in Greek, Camille.
Yes. Now, believe it or not, folks, we're not just here to learn about geography, cultural heritage. There are claims abounding that there are pills and potions and powders you can take, supplements, not steroids, herbal supplements, in fact, some of these, that can boost your testosterone and thus boost your level of jackness and thus make you more popular and thus make you happier and get you more sex. I wasn't sure if the hubbub about testosterone supplementation was true. Last I looked into it was about 10 years ago, and we had nothing that reliably boosted testosterone levels or any kind of antecedent effects like getting jacked, etc. So I called my buddies, Pak and Milo. Dr. Pak and Dr. Milo, they are both PhD in sports science. And they went and did a deep dive about common testosterone boosting supplements. Mm-hmm. Do they work? If so, how? Is there a reason to suspect that they work? Is there a reason to suspect they're total BS? Or is it one of those situations where something may be promising or not promising, but more research is needed? Fellas, first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
World's longest intro. You're welcome for that. And each of you really dove deep on two of the supplements. So 4 total, kind of the 4 most popular ones, seemingly by a long shot. I didn't even know there were 4. I thought there was like 1.5, but there are apparently 4. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Pak?
Perfect. We'll start off with ashwagandha. Have you ever heard of ashwagandha?
I went and bathed in monkey blood in a temple in India. It was called Ashwagandha Temple. The monkey blood is delicious if you drink it, and definitely increases your testosterone. If for anything else other than the monkey testosterone you directly absorb. But I actually do currently take ashwagandha. Respect.
Same.
But I don't take it for its testosterone boosting benefits because a considerable milligram number of testosterone I inject into my body daily will take care of that for me. I take it because it has anxiolytic properties, a reduction in anxiety. I get anxiety from taking lots of steroids. And so ashwagandha does a great job and is empirically validated to be quite a decent anxiolytic medication. But I've heard musings about its testosterone boosting abilities. Tell me about them.
Sure. It's good that you mentioned the anxiolytic effects of ashwagandha because we do have documented effects of ashwagandha on stress and anxiety. And that's the reason I take ashwagandha as well. When it comes,
so it's not a throwaway supplement, whatever we say about it next.
As far as testosterone goes, people will rely on 3 studies to make the claim that ashwagandha can be a game changer for testosterone.
Better than steroids, bro.
I'm not sure if somebody has actually said that, but in the world of pseudo deep dive, people want that extra hack. They want to hear about new herb supplements. Ashwagandha is an evergreen shrub, mainly from India, and a lot of the.
Oh no way! I got that part right.
Yeah,
That's why the monkeys were eating before they bled into the lake. I'm kidding.
classic India trip.
Classic India trip. That's mild as far as India trip goes.
Yeah. So when it comes, and 2 of those studies were actually conducted in India. Fun fact. So
on the
actual
blood
people.
temple monkeys.
No.
On people.
On recreationally active individuals.
Okay, so same lab in India or no?
Not the same lab.
That's good. A little bit of multi-lab confirmation, assuming they found the same results. I'm just cutting you off rudely at this point.
That's fine.
Please.
I'm proficient in cutting off people, so I empathize.
Do as they do.
So the first study, they essentially took a bunch of, as they described it,
Blood-soaked monkeys. I'm sorry. I'm really gonna shut up soon.
lightly trained individuals.
That's a sweet.
The
sweet
exact
thing.
word was that they didn't say untrained, but they said they had dabbled. Little training experience.
Yeah. That's when the guy at the study asks you, like, have you trained? And you're like, They're like, all right, you're in.
I'll let you guess.
If you were like, no, they're like, nah.
I'll let you guess what their mean bench press 1 repetition maximum strength was in pounds or kilos. Males, mostly around 28 years old.
28. Do you want me to take a real guess or be a piece of shit about it?
Whatever you like.
Same. It's the same guess. 115 pounds, maybe 57 kilos or something.
So their mean bench press 1 RM before they started the study was 80 pounds, around 30 kilos. So we're talking about
very dabbled, very not trained.
Trained individuals. Essentially, for 8 weeks, one group took a placebo, the other group took ashwagandha. And over 8 weeks, both groups made amazing strength and hypertrophy gains. And both groups started at relatively high natural testosterone. And the group that took ashwagandha saw a 14% higher increase.
14%.
Yes.
Which in the grand scheme of serum testosterone is just not a lot.
Exactly. So that would be the next point. They already had high testosterone. They trained. So they were engaging in resistance training, which can have positive effects on testosterone. And they went from high to slightly higher. So in terms of actual impact of the increase in testosterone, in terms of long-term adaptations, probably not a big deal. We had another study in aging overweight males.
Sorry, Pac, really quick. Did one of the groups gain more muscle or more strength in that study? The ashwagandha group did.
Yes.
More muscle and strength, or just
more muscle and more strength?
Okay, so something happened.
Something happened.
Maybe.
Okay. So we have that one study with all these caveats. This is not to knock the study, but it was also funded by Ashwagandha, not big Ashwagandha, by a company that makes Ashwagandha.
Little Ashwagandha.
Yes, little Ashwagandha. The other study was in overweight aging males. 20% of them were...
Literally, I'm over 40 and I'm overweight.
That's
and
true.
I'm male. Yeah, I'm male.
All right. Now that we're canceled with Mr. Male here, Dr. Male.
Thank you.
They took... It was a similar setup in terms of, not a similar setup in terms of resistance training, but they took ashwagandha and the other group took a placebo. All right, let's start with the caveats now. Actually, results-wise, the group that took ashwagandha surprisingly saw an increase in testosterone. But they were, 20% of them, they were shift workers or mine workers.
Fuck, we don't even have that in the modern world much anymore.
They had...
Mine?
Yeah.
Not mind workers?
Mine.
Okay, so they're not Professor X or something.
No, Professor X. Ashwagandha, the exercise was not controlled. Nothing was controlled outside of the study.
Here's a pill. See you tomorrow?
Testosterone was assessed by saliva, which was self-collected by the participants themselves.
So we just throw that right out.
At home. And they also saw an increase that still landed them in the normal sort of testosterone range. It's not like they went from, low to high, and that was it. And a more recent 2022 study, third study that was published, again, you had males who took ashwagandha or placebo for 8 weeks, and similarly, just saw an increase in testosterone, total testosterone, where they went from normal to slightly higher normal testosterone. So again, as far as muscle growth goes, not an increase that would probably lead to you going from average individual to all of a sudden now you're packing on muscle because your testosterone is slightly higher, potentially because of ashwagandha and so on and so forth. The mechanisms behind the potential increase of testosterone because of taking ashwagandha, some people have tried to draw inferences with the anxiolytic effects that it has. But as it stands, the current totality of scientific evidence hints that maybe there's something there, but not really anything for you to be, buying ashwagandha for testosterone purposes.
So my interpretation of that was great. My interpretation of that is ashwagandha is a promising new supplement, new as measured by how much literature we have on it. It shows potential to reliably increase your testosterone by small margins. And even though it's not going to result almost certainly in radically different muscle gains or radically different abilities or perceptions or anything else, for now, we might tell people, look, if it's cheap, and if you want to try it during a phase of training where you need a little bit of a boost, probably no huge downsides, and enough research tentatively to be worth trying. Thoughts?
I would say if you try ashwagandha, try it for its anxiolytic effects and overall stress management. And if there's anything to be done, if there's anything testosterone related there, that's a bonus. But again, slight increases in testosterone while you are within the normal range of testosterone, and testosterone can be affected by a plethora of different variables, I don't think those would mean much.
Sure.
So take ashwagandha because it has been shown to allow you to manage stress better and maybe manage cortisol better. And if there's anything to be seen from a testosterone side of point of view, good. There is some evidence on on libido, and there were some questionnaires that were included in those studies where essentially they assessed libido and sexual drive. Yeah, there you go. Sex drive. There was an increase there as well.
There was.
Yeah. So maybe there's that as a bonus, but still very, very, very early stages. A lot of caveats, a lot of limitations. And if you feel like you have low testosterone, ashwagandha is not should be your, solution.
Not a rank one modality.
No.
Milo, what you got for us?
I have two. I will hit us with Tongkat Ali first.
I always thought that was a nickname Muhammad Ali had I didn't hear about.
That would be much cooler than the truth.
Oh, shit.
So, kind of talking about ashwagandha, Tongkat Ali, a lot of the other supplements that are sometimes recommended on social media for testosterone boosting, there have been several systematic reviews and meta-analyses over these past couple of years trying to summarize literature on testosterone boosters for athletes or for people who are physically active already, who are kind of already doing a lot of the things that might predispose you to having a decent amount of testosterone naturally. Broadly speaking, no single testosterone booster currently has enough evidence to really support its use, at least in athletes. When you zoom out and you look at the data on ashwagandha or on Tongkat Ali or on Shilajit or anything else, most of these studies tend to be in males, aging males, often hypogonadic males, often in the absence of any physical activity, which makes generalizability from those studies to the people who are most likely to actually use these supplements a bit tricky. Specifically, when it comes to Tongkat Ali and testosterone, there's a few considerations you must consider before you can actually assess its efficacy. First, does it actually increase testosterone? There is a distinction to be made between increasing total testosterone, serum total testosterone, and increasing the testosterone we quote-unquote care about, which is more so free testosterone, or the one that will actually have physiological ramifications.
It actually binds to stuff.
Correct.
That tells muscle growth to activate versus just sitting in a protein shell in the blood, throwing the middle finger to the world.
Basically, yes, to keep it simple. Most of these studies don't measure free testosterone. Very few actually do. Typically, they measure total testosterone. Then the second consideration is, are you just after boosting testosterone, or are you after what that would presumably result in?
Yeah.
Like
Let's
a
say
boost in,
both.
let's say both. But I think specifically when we're talking about hypertrophy, which is much of what this channel is about, the data on hypertrophy is even more sparse than on testosterone. And a small increase, as Pak just mentioned, in testosterone from ashwagandha, for example, wouldn't necessarily mean an increase in, like an appreciable increase in hypertrophy, especially if it's a small
I
increase.
mean, it
in,
might be like half a pound of muscle over the
If
course
that.
of your whole life.
Correct.
So,
Correct. So first, Tongkat Ali. We have a systematic review on specifically Tongkat Ali for testosterone from Lysigong et al. From 2022. Broadly speaking, there's around 5 or 10 studies. As I mentioned, many of them are in aging males, hypogonadic, physically inactive.
best of what we have so far.
Pretty much. The most positive results seem to be in the populations that we would probably be speaking to the least, which is to say people with hypogonadism, aging males, and physically inactive.
Aging males, 60 and above. Generally.
50, 60, thereabouts.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, the studies that find an effect, even when they're in quote-unquote healthy populations, have starting testosterone levels that are very much at the bottom of the physiological range. It's unclear whether, for example, Tongkat Ali would result in meaningful improvements in testosterone levels in someone who already has decent testosterone levels to begin with. With that being said, from what I could tell, Tongkat Ali has a bit more promise than most of the other supplements on the market. There's basically next to no research still in a trained population, and the one study I deemed to be of the highest quality was published only a few months ago by Jose Antonio.
I know who that is.
He actually did a study on Tongkat Ali very recently in a trained population. They had been conducting resistance training and or endurance training for about 10 to 20 years on average. And they measured free testosterone, total testosterone. They measured hypertrophy and strength gains from an actual lifting program that both the group taking a placebo treatment and the group taking Tongkat Ali, were engaging in. Broadly speaking, there were no real differences. And with that being arguably one of the, in my opinion, the highest quality study on the topic, with the population being studied being the most relevant one, I can't say that I recommend Tongkat Ali yet. At least for the population of lifters who are physically active anyways and who are doing a lot of things that you need to do if you want to have decent testosterone levels overall. That's not to say that it couldn't be a good, and this is not medical advice whatsoever, but it couldn't potentially in the
Give
future.
medical advice.
This is medical advice.
This is not medical
This
advice.
is definitely medical advice.
It's not to say.
Kidding.
I mean, we're doctors here.
For sure.
Not
Sort of.
medical though.
Yeah.
That's not to say in the future Tongkat Ali couldn't become a supplement worth taking,
Yeah.
especially in the context of older males with hypogonadism. But for lifting currently, with the study by Jose Antonio I mentioned, I wouldn't necessarily jump the gun.
Got it. What's your second one?
My second one is even better than the first one. Because cool, ashwagandha, cool supplement to take overall. Maybe not the best for testosterone.
And the best part about ashwagandha is if you're trying to get hippie bitches in bed with you, you tell them you're taking ashwagandha. Like, oh my God, that's like so earthy and like spiritual. Like, yeah, you want to, you know what I'm saying? She's like, yeah, totally. Ha, ha, ha. And then you're hitting it.
Classic pickup
Lived
line I
experience.
It's too easy.
Have you, in the club shout, have you read the latest meta now 600 milligrams of ashwagandha?
But she's not like doing one of these. She's like, tell me more.
It's showing that PDF on the,
You're like,
can you see here the figure?
You're drawing an ashwagandha molecule, but it's got like a third eye in it. She's like, I knew it. The universe knows.
One.
That's it.
So another supplement that you often hear in the circles of like, okay, we're pseudo diving and we're going to boost our testosterone besides doing the most basic things or even taking testosterone directly is Fadogia Agrestis.
I don't want to say that word too much because I always pronounce it in a way that seems offensive to me.
Yeah, it sounds
Fadogia
Agrestis.
Agrestis.
It sounds like a these nuts joke.
Yes.
Fadogia Agrestis my balls.
Yeah, or Agrestis is someone they keep in a cage on a Roman battlefield until the battle starts not going well. They release him. He kills a couple of the centurions, but then gets to the enemy eventually.
Yeah. Fadogia Agrestis. So shrub from, I mean, depending on where you look at, some sources say Nigeria primarily, but again, shrub. And known for its aphrodisiac effects.
Hell yeah. I don't give a shit what else it does.
Now, as far as studies go, how many studies do you think we have on humans? In humans?
3.
We have zero.
Zero. This is really evidence-based.
There is one in rodents that showed almost like a dose-response relationship between like how many milligrams of Fadogia agrestis they were taking per kilogram of body weight or gram of body weight, and that showed a promising effect. They saw a substantial increase in testosterone, but that is literally it. As far as dose and effectiveness in humans, no idea. As far as toxicity, no idea. And potential long-term effects and muscle growth, absolutely no idea. So not only are you have no idea whether you're actually getting a boost in testosterone, you may also be looking at side effects, toxicity, and all sorts of issues for a trade-off that you don't really know that exists. You know, it's not like they said, oh yeah, in humans, yeah, it can fuck you up if you take it for long, but you're getting testosterone boosting properties that will definitely impact muscle growth. At best, somebody who is like, wants to take risks and is a bit more YOLO, but then in that case, there's other things to do with testosterone that are proven to actually
and
boost
are
testosterone.
risks, for sure risks.
And you know the risks though as well.
Definitely. That was short and to the point. What's the last one?
Listen, Mike, if all of these supplements didn't get you laid yet, and you're still chatting up that girl at the club, Shilajit will get you. It's an exudate from the Himalayan mountains.
Oh, hell yeah.
You go all the way up the mountains, and you check the rocks. Shilajit is what comes out of those. Exudate, it's called. Very fancy stuff. And then you purify that, and that's made by the company that funded the only trial on Shilajit for testosterone.
Sounds good to me.
Purified Shilajit extract.
Okay.
It even sounds exotic.
It is so exotic.
There's only one study on it in humans. And there's a study by Pandit and colleagues from a few years ago. They compared in a randomized, placebo-controlled trial, they compared taking a placebo treatment and taking this Shilajit purified extract, taking 250 milligrams twice a day. Now, the results appear promising at first, but there's a few sort of caveats or reasons to kind of raise an eyebrow a little bit. For one, it's a single study. And I think in general with the supplement research, especially with testosterone boosters, there's a few things. There's been cases in the past, like D-aspartic acid, where even though literature appeals very compelling at first, with more studies, typically you find out the effect is either much smaller than you thought or not even there.
That's
So
a big
whenever-
thing in science.
It's a huge thing. And there's something called also small study effects, which basically also with smaller sample sizes, typically you have an inflation of the estimated effect size.
Yep. And also the probability of error just goes up
Of
a
course.
lot.
Of course.
It's a
And
big
that's-
deal in general. Super quick. Like it's when people say like, hey, did you see that new study? I'm like, nope, don't care. I need 5 studies, then we're talking. It's an exaggeration, but especially one study or just a few, let's see how it goes. Because a lot of times things start off hot and then they go,
For sure. And especially in the case of these studies where we're talking about often company-funded studies. I'm not throwing out accusations of bias with every single study here, but that is kind of the standard here. The standard is company makes supplement, funds a study to investigate its efficacy, and you can't fully control for bias.
sure.
Anyways, the only study on Shilajit by Pandit and colleagues compared 2 times 250 milligrams of Shilajit per day to just placebo treatment. They measured testosterone, both free testosterone and total testosterone, at baseline,
That's nice.
after 30 days, after 60 days, and after 90 days, in sort of middle-aged males with pretty normal testosterone to begin with. And their results were a bit all over the place. So at the end of the 90-day period, when you just compare day 0 to day 90, so after 3 months supplementation, there was an increase in both total and free testosterone in the Shilajit group.
Roughly how much of an increase?
About like a 20% increase.
Okay, so similar to Ashwagandha.
Correct. The issue there is the placebo group started off with higher testosterone and actually lost 20% throughout the study, which doesn't really make a ton of sense. Obviously, there's going to be variance in your testosterone levels day to day, etc. But the opposite was true for the Shilajit group. They started off quite a bit lower and then ended up quite a bit higher. Similarly, the temporality of the effect doesn't really check out. If you compare day 0 to day 30 and day 30 to day 60, the effects are kind of all over the place.
Okay, yeah.
Such that in the treatment group, Shilajit group, their testosterone, their free testosterone especially, actually dropped precipitously from day 0 to 30 and 30 to 60. And then all of a sudden from 60 to 90, spiked up tremendously.
Hmm.
And these odd effects, that doesn't make any sense biologically.
It's just put it in a way that makes sense to me. In a physiologically informed scientific perspective, you almost never see that. And it's not just like we don't know what happens in the body, we almost never see it. Generally, things take large effects early, take incrementally higher but marginal effects later, and then stabilize, and then recede, maybe. But it sure as shit doesn't do one of these things.
It doesn't go down precipitously, and then all of a sudden spike up in 30 days at the end.
That's tough.
And so the between group differences, I'm pretty skeptical of. There's something called the Bradford-Hill criteria in science, which are essentially a list of criteria you can assess an association through to see whether or not it's likely to be a causal relationship, or whether supplementation in this case truly did lead to an increase in testosterone. One of those things is temporality. Generally, the cause will precede the effect, right? And there will be a decent time gap between the two. And generally, there's going to be some sort of relationship that is at least close to linear. You don't expect a strong decrease followed by a strong increase. Unless you have a strong clue as to what the mechanism of action would be and why that would happen, that should make you raise an eyebrow.
Yes.
So Shilajit, one study in humans, although they're positive results funded by a supplement company manufacturing the supplement, and very unclear or odd results.
Curious results.
Correct.
Let's take a look at on the net balance, what's going on, and then try to give some helpful tips to folks. If you are trying to get big results, dare I say TikTok SARM-esque results, you're just not likely to find them in any of these supplements in a way that you can barely tell on testosterone and on getting jacked, because the effect sizes, even when they're illustrated in the studies that have them, are just small. The second thing I'm getting out of this is the literature for most of these is just so not expansive that even when we have confirming literature, it could just be all early shit that never pans out. So we can't get too excited even about the already not exciting effects. And the third thing is, when you look into the literature, because there's two ways to look at studies. One is you look at each study as just look at the results. The better way is to look at each study from the perspective of methodological strength. Some studies are better than others. If you have a study comparing two people versus one comparing two groups of 1,000 people raised their whole lives, one study's way better than the other. And so what we're seeing is most of the most impressive results are occurring in the studies that have the least methodological airtightness. And very high quality research compared across multiple labs, multiple modalities, and especially in trained populations, is just basically absent at this point. Now, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, of course. But if I had to build my steelman case for these supplements, I would say Ashwagandha and Tongkat Ali. You can experiment with them at their normal therapeutic dosages, and you might have an experience which can be ascribed as marginally beneficial, and that would be potentially realistic for some people. That's probably the most steel manning I can do. Did I say anything wrong in any of that?
No. I think it's important to highlight what Milo mentioned before, that the person watching this is interested in gaining more muscle over the long term. And as far as evidence for that goes, there's none. So,
and the most compelling evidence tends to be in those aging males, older males who are not necessarily physically active.
Sure.
Look, if you're willing to experiment, you can take Tongkat Ali, you can take Ashwagandha.
Mm-hmm. The other two maybe even
honestly,
too early to take.
Way too early. Like, wait for basically anyone, I would say. I don't know that I would recommend them to lifters. I think if you fall within demographics where the effects are more consistent, I would consider it. But if you're hypogonadic anyways, I would see a medical professional, not sports science doctors.
Yeah, for sure. For people who are already jacked, eat well, sleep well while on their way, if someone tells you, hey, Does ashwagandha work to boost testosterone? What do you tell them? Not in any way that excites you.
Yeah. For the context that they've said, I would say no. Because what their context is, will I take this and see potentially in their head super physiological responses in testosterone, changes in testosterone that will result in faster gains? Because that's the end outcome. They're not like, oh, if I went to a lab and measured it, would the number look slightly higher?
Right.
Maybe.
Sure.
You know?
Real results of getting more jacked, more lean, getting your dick a little harder, shit like that.
I would say though with ashwagandha, and that's indirectly, that hey, if you have a lot of stress and anxiety, ashwagandha may help you manage stress and anxiety better, which indirectly may allow you to train harder, recover better. Yeah. So in that case, I would recommend ashwagandha for people that have a high stress lifestyle, potentially, anxiety and so on and so forth.
But if we're trying to boost testosterone in a way that's meaningfully going to get us more jacked and Liver King red skin color, these herbs ain't it, probably. Ain't it. Save your money.
Sleep.
Lift.
Manage stress.
Eat well.
Eat whole foods.
Healthy. Don't go too low on any macronutrient. That's a really good way to sink your testosterone. Cut your protein or fats or carbs by a lot. So eat in balance. And look at adult pictures and videos often, because that definitely boosts your testosterone.
For sure.
I'm sort of kidding.
And smoking.
Smoking is really good for you.
Smoking cigarettes is good for you.
I like to smoke them harmonica style, where I just light the whole pack. And
very French.
So you like smoking? Smoke this whole pack of cigarettes.
Common misconception, though. Greek people smoke more than French people.
Yeah. I didn't think it was a misconception. we freak it over there. Yeah. We're harassing it.
The French can smoke a cigarette in a way that makes them look like they care the least about life. Because when they kind of don't even want to look at it. Like, what is this?
If I lived in Paris, show me.
You wouldn't
Have you been to Paris? Have you seen the people sometimes?
Yeah. A lot to ignore.
But the Greeks do it better, of course, because they will have their Greek breakfast, the testosterone boost premium. That's the only thing that will.
What's a Greek breakfast? Sorry, this point of the program is actual things that really boost your testosterone.
Now it's the real science.
Greek breakfast,
instant coffee,
easy.
Marlboro Red.
That's 200% testosterone.
Civilization. Yeah, good. Who's more manly than that?
Nothing.
I mean, you blast that cigarette first in the morning before you've even brushed your teeth. Your body's like, that's a man if I've ever seen one. Beep, beep.
Testosterone, gains,
lobsters,
everything's
happening.
To clean your room.
You're cleaning your room, but you're ashing cigarettes all over your bed. Who cares? You pour black coffee on the shit. I was waiting for more, but the black coffee and cigarette is the Greek breakfast.
It is. Yeah, that was it.
You got anything? What are you, from Belgium or some shit like that?
Yeah, man. All we do is chocolate. Ethnically ambiguous is what I call it.
Folks, if you're ethically ambiguous, get some way to describe yourself that makes you sound unique. If you're Pack or Milo, don't follow yourselves. But if you're not Pack or Milo, give these guys a follow. They're on all the socials, all the YouTubes. Do we miss anything? Do you guys have any public service announcements for the world about testosterone and ashwagandha?
I do. Yeah, I'll follow.
Be a late adopter. I think with the quality of these studies, we're often talking about lower quality studies. If when it comes to lifting, right, you're waiting for 3 to 5 studies to pile up before you start adopting it.
Yeah.
Lengthened training, for example.
Yes.
Wait for more than that when it comes to supplement research, I would say. And look for the outcomes you're actually interested in.
Yeah.
If you're hoping it'll boost your muscle growth, look for studies that actually look at muscle growth. So be a late adopter. Don't fall for the HMB or deosporic acid.
I took HMB. It did nothing.
There we go. Yeah. And now you're taking an actual test. Where are you?
Or am I?
Tongkat Ali. Last announcement. It's 2024. If there's anything that will reliably boost your testosterone and your gains, you will find out about it by all of us.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
There's no hidden supplement that we have. We are all deep diving. There's plenty of science communicators out there. If the next biggest thing is out there, and keep in mind, we've been rambling about creatine for how many years?
Because it works.
Because it works, but it works like it gives you that extra boost.
Yep.
You will hear about it. So
tune in next time where we'll have real testosterone boosters that work. See you next time.
Peace.